Hello, friends. You are on the channel Movies in Turbo mode. He's very smart. Like any other child, he falls under the influence of his environment, but it just so happened that he got into a gang of bandits. What will he become now? And there's one thing that makes Chappie different from everyone else. He's the first robot capable of feeling and thinking. Welcome to the retelling of the movie called Chappie. One South African city is full of crime and violence. The large number of victims among civilians and police forces the authorities to take action. The government is launching a project to create the world's first police robots that will help control order in society. In this regard, a lot of public attention is directed to the weapons company that produces these robots. The previous product of this company was a robot called Moose, invented by engineer Vincent. Since Vincent did not trust artificial intelligence, he created a robot that can only be controlled by a human using a special helmet. The helmet uses human consciousness to control the bulky robot in real time. But those police robots, which were developed by another smarter and younger engineer, Dean, are the product of artificial intelligence. The machine itself can perform tasks in accordance with the orders of people. This is largely an advantage compared to Vincent's robot. The police robot perfectly cooperates with people and helps them in catching evil criminals. Good and productive work makes these machines very popular among people from the government of other countries. And Dean's success in developing robots helps him get funding for further work in this area. This makes his colleague Vincent very angry, who has not received approval for his ideas. He begins to envy the successful and brilliant Dean. Dean, without wasting time in vain, works even at night to create an artificial intelligence that can develop, think, and feel like a human. Finally, after almost 3 years of hard work, he successfully writes a stable and working program. Dean rather rushes to the company to ask his boss, Michelle Bradley, to test this program, but is refused. He is very disappointed that the manufacturers of weapons do not need a robot that can play the piano and write poetry. Looking at the results of his program, without thinking twice, he decides to secretly finish the testing himself. At an opportunity, taking advantage of his official position, he steals a special key to update the robot program. Then, arriving at the warehouse, he quickly loads one of the disposed police robots into the car. On the way home, a young engineer encounters robbers, but they do not need his money. They just want Dean to tell them how to disable all the police robots. The leaders of these robbers is a guy named Ninja. As it turns out, his gang made a mistake when transporting prohibited cargo, and the boss of another hippo gang demanded compensation from them in the amount of $20 million. A cornered Ninja and his gang members in such a situation can only rob a collection car, but it is guarded by police robots. This could clearly derail their plan. The Ninja demands from the engineer that he find a way to disable all robots, to which Dean says that this is impossible. The gang leader is clearly angry and wants to kill the young man. But Dean, in order to save his life, suggests using the broken robot number 22, but warns that it will not be just a robot, but something else, a stronger and smarter creature. Such a robot can be trained to do anything, but the only problem is that it has not yet been tested. Having installed a new artificial intelligence program on the robot, number 22 is successfully activated, and seeing unfamiliar things in front of him, the reborn robot is horrified. He, like a newborn baby, carefully touches the unknown world for the first time. Yolandi, the ninja's girlfriend, seeing that the robot is so cute, begins to feel a maternal instinct for him. She gives him a new name, Chappie. Dean is very surprised by his robot, and also considers Chappie his brainchild. He wants to see how the robot will learn everything, but the ninja at first does not give him such an opportunity. After that, we are again shown the unsuccessful engineer Vincent, who is struggling to attract attention to his robot. But its development is considered ugly, expensive to finance, and simply unfit. He is informed that even if things get really bad with law and order, their company will not need his work. Vincent sees how others ridicule his efforts. His anger becomes uncontrollable. In the end, Vincent wants to take a chance, planning to steal a special key, but discovers that it is no longer there. Then one day, noticing that his young colleague Dean leaves the workplace, he begins to follow him and soon finds out that he goes to the ninja gang to help train Chappie. Vincent is very puzzled by all this, but he does not immediately understand what is happening. By that time, the curious Chappie had already learned a lot and even began to portray cartoon characters. But the ninja wants to teach him to shoot and rob as soon as possible. Helpless as a child, Chappie refuses to learn such a barbaric business, and Yolandi, considering herself his mother, always and everywhere protects her baby. Dean is also very protective of Chappie. He even brings him books and reads them aloud. An engineer teaches his robot to read and draw, but the robot's carefree childhood turned out to be short-lived. To show Chappie what a harsh world is around, the ninja leads him to a group of bandits who beat and throw a Molotov cocktail at the poor guy with all cruelty. All this scares Chappie very much. Fortunately, he still manages to escape from the bandits, but then Vince suddenly intercepts him. It turns out that the envious engineer has already realized what Dean did with Chappie and his program. Taking the opportunity, Vince takes out a special key from Chappie and gives an order to his subordinates to deal with the robot. At night, Chappie takes his feet away from bad people again. Meanwhile, Yolandi is worried that Chappie hasn't returned home yet. When Chappie does return, she sees how badly he is damaged. Yolandi angrily scolds her ninja boyfriend, accusing him of being cruel to their baby. With tenderness and care, she puts Chappie to bed and reads him fairy tales. The ninja, realizing that he still needs the skills and strength of Chappie, fraudulently forces him to use weapons to rob people. Thanks to the training of his new mentors, Ninja and America, Chappie becomes a master of martial arts and easily handles weapons. Proud of his student, the ninja puts gold chains on Chappie. Then we see how Chappie and his mentors are preparing to steal an expensive car, but Chappie crashes a luxury car. The ninja is nervous and explains to Chappie that they need a whole car. Next, we see them stealing a lot of luxury cars. All this is necessary in order to get explosives that will help with the robbery of the collection car. One day, Chappie finds the dead body of a dog. He doesn't understand what's wrong with her, and the ninja tries to explain to him what life and death are. Using this moment, the ninja says that Dean placed Chappie's consciousness in the broken body. His battery cannot be replaced, which means he will soon turn off. That is, he will die. The ninja continues to convince Chappie and says that they are robbing for him to buy him a new body. When Chappie understands everything, he is horrified and angry. He begins to put pressure on the young engineer and asks about why the creator placed him in an almost dead body. During Dean's attempt to justify himself, Chappie suddenly collapses. Dean explains to Yolandi that the robot has had a system malfunction and he urgently has to take Chappie to his company. Arriving at the place, Vincent turns out to be there. He hides from unexpected guests. As it turned out, it was the envious engineer who caused problems with the processor of Chappie and other police robots. Paralyzing all of them, the evil engineer provoked chaos and violence in the city. All this was done in order for the government to use his robot out of hopelessness. Dean manages to save Chappie from a malicious virus in the program. Just as they are about to leave, Chappie notices a special mind transfer helmet that Vince has designed. Thinking that it could save his life, he wants to take him away. But Dean tries to convince Chappie that not everything is so simple, and his consciousness is different from human. The problem is that the transfer of his consciousness is likely to be impossible. The robot is angry, saying that the ninja is his dad, who will help him find a new body and save him from death. After arguing and still taking the device with them, they leave the company. Vince has been spying on them all this time and realized that Chappie is not just a robot. Next, we are shown how Chappie explores the very helmet. Having figured out everything, he tries to copy the consciousness of his mother, Yolandi, which turns out successfully. Now, in order to save himself, he needs a new body. Then he, along with his parents and America, decides to rob a collection van. At the same time, Dean finds out that the viruses ended up in the robot processors through the fault of his colleague Vincent. But before Dean has time to inform his superiors about this, he sees news about a robbery in which Chappie takes part. In order to prevent the whole situation from getting worse, he is going to approach his superiors. But the cunning and malicious Vince had already beaten him to it. He said that the robber robot in the news is the creation of a young engineer. Then, Vincent carries out his long-awaited plan, and the authorities allow him to use the robot to eliminate Chappie. Later, we see the leader of another gang named Hippo. He also sees the news about the robbery of the collector car and wants to take part to collect his money. Together with his people, Hippo finds the ninja, but he refuses to give him the money. A shootout begins between the two gangs. Chappie does not immediately enter the fray. He is upset that the ninja has been lying to him all this time. The shooting continues, and at the same time, Vincent's robot appears on the spot. He kills almost everyone around en masse. Engineer Dean also rushes to the scene of everything that is happening to warn Chappie that the authorities have given instructions for his elimination. During all this scuffle, Chappie finally gets into a fight with the bulky machine of the evil engineer. He fixes the bomb on the body of the piece of iron, but before he can press the detonator button, he drops it. Vincent, who controls the robot, is filled with anger, and he continues to kill. When the engineer gets injured, Chappie and his parents try to escape from the mad creature of the evil engineer, but he catches up with them. Then the ninja rushes to distract him. Yolandi tries to save her boyfriend by sacrificing herself and dies. At a critical moment, Chappie finally presses the detonator and blows up the killer robot. After learning from Dean that it was Vincent who controlled the robot that killed his mother, Chappie rushes in a rage to take revenge on the villain. Vincent tries to escape from Chappie, but he easily breaks the bones of the vile engineer and then leaves. Later, Chappie uses a special helmet to transfer the consciousness of Dean, who is dying from a wound, into the body of a new robot. But there's only one on the base, and since Chappie is running out of battery power, he probably won't survive. After rebirth, having found a new life and body, the engineer still finds a way to help Chappie. He plans to transfer his consciousness to the nearest robot on the map that is turned off by a malfunction. Before that, Chappie is afraid that he will never wake up again. Dean does not disappoint him, and they are doing well. We see them both reborn. When Chappie meets the ninja again, they arrange Yolandi's funeral together. In the hands of the ninja holds a copy of Yolandi's consciousness, which means that she will soon acquire a new immortal body. In fact, Chappie still managed to save his mom, and the government, in the end, decides to introduce a complete ban on the use of police robots and other machines. Thank you for watching.